What's going on, family? Welcome to TSC Unleashed. What's going on, family? Welcome to the live stream. We in the building, man. Big Q in the building. TSC Unleashed, recapping the latest news, NBA playoffs, man. To be honest with you, man, it looked pretty good, man. Some interesting battles. Man, I tell you what, man. It was going down in a major capacity as the Heat push past the Bucks, man, and it's considered a surprise by some that the Bucks are gone, being that the Bucks were a team a lot of people pushed to represent the Eastern Conference Finals, but the Heat did their thing, and Jimmy Butler, man. Big ups to the family members joining us in the live stream. Brother Jerry, how you doing, family? First in here. Good to see the brother in here as well. Brother Jason King, who that to you as well. Good to see the family members chiming in on this edition of TSC Unleashed. The Heat on fire, push past the Bucks, moves on to the East Finals, plus LeBron and the Lakers score a win as well. We'll cover that on TSC Unleashed. Also talk about some other NBA news besides the two matchups. The fact that the OKC Thunder's coach, Donovan, had, his contract expired after this year. After 5 years with the OKC, they came to a mutual decision to part ways. And Donovan's always been a winner since his days in college. He was a hell of a coach. It's too bad for that. Perhaps he's seeking a little bit more competitive situation. Maybe perhaps he goes back to college after taking a break from the game. But Donovan is an excellent choice as a coach too, if he wants to continue to coach. That's another thing. But anyway, we'll get into these stories today, and we'll cover some other news as well. Brandon Cormier, good to see you in the building as well. Big ups to you. I'm Big Q chiming in. We're bringing the co-host, Uncle Mozzie, in the building. Uncle Mozzie, how you doing today, sir? Are you there, Uncle Mozzie? All right, I think he'll chime in momentarily, family. He'll come in and chime in with us momentarily as we get the show started. But man, a lot of excellent matchups today. We'll also cover some NBA stuff, as well as the Rams signed Ramsey to the biggest contract ever for a cornerback. How about that? How about that indeed? And of course, we know about what happened with Deshaun Jackson and the mega deal that he got. He got a big, fat, huge contract as well the other day. And we'll talk about, man, Ramsey, man, huge contract. Man, what the hell that mean to Lattimore? That's the thing if you're a Saints fan. And of course, there's talk about Talib, despite call from Belichick says he's retired. So that's a little interesting too. That's dropping from ESPN was the fact that Talib, Belichick called Talib, and he was told that he was retired, so he doesn't come out to play for the Patriots. Who knows? So that answers a lot of questions why nobody wants to know or going after Akeem Talib. Well, they're saying he's retired. We didn't know that. But anyway, let's get it started, man. We're gonna start off with the first matchup of the afternoon, man, which was yesterday, which was the Bucks, man. Can you believe this? If somebody told you, man, and I swear, man, when the season started, after all the C-19 nonsense, the Bucks was to me a team that was going to represent the Eastern Conference Finals. They were a serious threat, and then here comes along the C-19 stuff. Here comes around all the protesting, and then Giannis seemed lost in it, in all of the protests and everything that was going on, and other people were representing in that leadership role. And it seems like he just couldn't will the team to win despite several outings. He just looked lost this year. They go down and season is over for those guys as the Heat push past them 4 games to 1, 103-94. I got to say, man, Eric Spoelstra and what he's done with Miami can never be overstated, man. He was absolutely terrific in this one. And 103-94 was the matchup. Bam Adebayo finished the matchup. He had 13 points, 6 rebounds in the affair, 31 minutes from him. Jimmy Butler with a casual 17. Didn't have to do too much because he had his teammates playing with him. 37 minutes for him, 4 of 6 from the field, 8 of 8 from downtown. But he finished with 17 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. And despite the fact that he had 5 personal fouls, both him and Bam Adebayo had 5 personals. 17 from Goran Dragic in 33 minutes, 7 of 15 from the field, 2 of 5 from downtown, 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 2 assists in the matchup. Then, of course, we had Crowder. Jay Crowder got into the act, 16 points from him at 32 minutes, 4 of 9 shooting from both the field and the three-point line, while hitting 4 of 4 from the three-point line. And the free throw line, he was 4 of 4, 16 points, 6 rebounds on the day for Crowder. And off the bench, they got good production from Tyler Hero. He has been really awesome in the playoffs. This kid is big time. 14 points off the bench with 6 assists, 8 rebounds in 37 minutes, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 7 from downtown, and then 12 from Kelly Olynyk, who had 12 points and 6 rebounds in 17 minutes, 4 of 7 from the field, and even hit a three-pointer. Going over to the Bucks, dejected Bucks, Middleton, and of course Giannis didn't play in this game because of the apparent injury, but nevertheless, you see that the Milwaukee Bucks just wasn't able to muster enough. Middleton, who some consider the second best player, scored 23 points in 42 minutes, finished with 7 rebounds, 6 assists on 8 of 25 shooting from the field. He was 2 of 9 from downtown, struggled, but still was able to concoct a 23-point effort in the matchup, as not much help from anybody else. Now, DaVincio had 17 points in the matchup in 28 minutes, and you had 15 points from Brook Lopez to try to help steady the tide. Wes Matthews struggled with 3 of 6 from the field, all 3 from downtown, just 11 points from him. Eric Bledsoe, a guy that's making a lot of fat money too, could not contribute. 36 minutes, he was 2 of 12 from the field, 1 of 4 from downtown. He had 9 points and 9 assists in the matchup. You can't do that, Eric Bledsoe. You have to be able to bring it. You're making way too much money to be that sorry on the punts, and he struggled real mightily in a game that didn't need him to struggle. And of course, Williams off the bench had 11 points in 21 minutes, 5 of 10 from the field in this matchup, as the Heat push out, knock off the Bucks, and that's a surprise, man, how it all fell apart for the Bucks, man. Just show you how incredibly difficult it is to win in the NBA. The Heat, nobody picked the Heat to beat this, to take out the Bucks, but they're in the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's move on to the next matchup, man. The Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Houston Rockets. And I asked the question earlier, with the 2 previous series did the same thing. Remember when they opened up against the Portland Trail Blazers last series with the Lakers? The first game was a loss, and then the rest of it, the Lakers then figured them out and then ran all 4 straight to push the Trailblazers out of there with no issues. Would that be the same scenario for what happens with the Rockets? Is the question that I pose. And after it appeared it might be on par. They won 2 straight in the series, and now they're in control of the series 2 games to 1. Behind the stern play of LeBron James, he had 36 points in the matchup, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks in the game. He was everywhere. LeBron was the man in this one. 38 minutes, 13 of 23 from the field, 4 of 9 from downtown, 6 of 10 from the free throw line. Anthony Davis finished with 26 points, 15 rebounds, 6 assists in the matchup in 39 minutes, 9 of 13 from the field, 8 of 11 from the free throw line, 36 from LeBron, 26 from AD. And really, that's all the production they got from some of their starters. Then guys came off the bench to help out in a major capacity. 21 from playoff Rondo off the bench, 30 minutes, 8 of 11 for Rondo. He was 3 of 5 from downtown, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. And Rondo adds a really good component to the team. Not that well, he's a pretty decent defender, not what he used to be, but he is a excellent leader, to be honest with you, man. And 21 points, 9 assists, and 2 rebounds is pretty good off the bench. And then Kyle Kuzma in 24 minutes, 7 of 10 from the field, had 14 points in the matchup against the Rockets in this affair. And then, of course, going to the Rockets, what did it look like? 30 points from Westbrook, who finally got going in the matchup to add pointage to it, but it wasn't enough. He finished 13 of 24 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown, 2 of 2 from the free throw line as well in this one. And despite the fact that Westbrook went off and gave him 30, he had 8 rebounds and 6 assists in the matchup, wasn't enough. James Harden led the day. He had 33 points, 38 minutes, 11 of 23 from the field, 4 of 9 from the three-point line, 7 of 7 from The free throw line, three-point line is 4 of 19, 33 points, 9 assists, 9 rebounds, almost a triple-double by the bearded one, James Harden, in the matchup. But still in all, despite a 30-point performance by Westbrook and a 33-point performance by James Harden, the Heat still lose the game by 10. And then they even got 16 off the bench for Jeff Green in 35 minutes. He gave him 16 points in the matchup. Still not enough. Other scorers, Covington only 10 from him. Eric Gordon struggled again. You can't count on Eric Gordon. I keep saying the guy is a slouch, man. I keep saying that he was a slouch down here when he played for us. He's a slouch out there. He's a sometimey player. Makes way too much money to be. He's sometimey. 10 points in the matchup right there. If he'd scored what he usually is supposed to score, it might have made it a little bit interesting. But nevertheless, the Lakers take control of the series 2-1 on the Houston Rockets. Now we're going to bring in Uncle Mozzie into the stream. We covered both the Rockets-Lakers game. Give me your thought process on the Lakers going up by, taking the series 2-1 over the Houston Rockets.
Well, first of all, I want to apologize. I ran into some technical difficulties to the fam. That's why, excuse me for my absence. Now, can you please state your question one more time so I can get on you? Because I got some firepower now. I can talk a little, at least till tonight anyway.
Okay. Go ahead. Well, the Lakers took care of business against the Rockets. Remember, we covered this yesterday's show. We talked about, was it a scenario, or maybe the show before my vacation happened, but we talked about how the Lakers lost the first matchup of the series to the Portland Trail Blazers, then reeled off 4 straight wins to close them out in fantastic fashion. Look like the same trend is developing against the Houston Rockets. The Rockets get the first game, and now the Lakers have found their sea legs, and now they're operating, in a way where they're playing defense, moving the ball. Rondo's in there doing his thing, and they beat the Rockets by 10 despite really good outings from both Westbrook and Harden, who combined for 66 points on 63 points on the night. Still wasn't enough. They still go down by 10 to the Lakers. So is this a scenario where it will mimic what Portland did, where the Lakers will just run through Houston like they did Portland the series before?
I don't know if it's going to be like, I don't know if it's going to mimic Portland exactly, because obviously Houston's a much more talented team from top to bottom.
Right.
Pretty close, but Houston is slightly more talented in that having an advantage when you look at the top two versus the top two. Obviously, we're talking about the fake superstar and CJ McCollum versus the bearded one and Westbrook. So, when you look at those 4 guys, obviously the tandem of Westbrook and the bearded one is going to be just far more phenomenal than anything else. So I'm not looking for Houston just to lay down, but I think that they won't do any more than one more game better than Portland did. That first game is always a doozy, and I'll tell you why it's a doozy. The Lakers are so prolific of a team, at least in this particular scenario and situation. They have an extended time period off, especially going into that Portland series. They had an extended time period off going into a Portland team that they I don't believe they took seriously. They obviously knew they were banged up. And D-Lil was just hot. It happens like that, you have to stretch before you play. So if somebody's been playing, whereas you've had 4 or 5 days extra off, you can look to come out and be a little, especially when you got small ball, you got to make those adjustments. You got 3 7-footers you're working in a rotation. I don't know if you noticed, but Frankie V, he didn't stop. No bigs coming in. He working deep in the bench, pulling people, putting the game, not to have bigs in there for an extended period of time. Bigs, when I say bigs, obviously AD's gonna stay in there because he's a hybrid big. But when you talk about JaVale McGee and you're talking about Dwight Howard, these people can't have extended minutes in the game because they're just not agile and quick enough. They both are somewhat up in age. They got some miles on the knees and the backs and the elbows, so they're not going to be able to run around with this Rockets team. That's why you saw them make the adjustment, keep the bigs, and I think we talked about that. Yeah. Keep the bigs on the bench,
right,
and just run with your guys. AD's pretty.
AD at least now, right? But you're absolutely right, though, Fab. Not to cut you off, but you're right. Remember, the small ball lineup, the most athletic big that they have is Anthony Davis. He could play that ball. Not only that, but he can also shoot that 3 to pull guys out as well. So he does fit that, and I think that adjustment was well done by Frankie B. And I give you great credit for recognizing that.
Right, and here's the thing, AD, the added dimension AD can do, he can also put the ball on the floor in front of the defender.
Yes,
so it's not like he had to turn his back and kind of shield. He can lay up. He can literally put the ball on the floor in front of the defender, and a 4 or 5 naturally checking him, or 4 checking him out of a rotation can't stay in front of him. Not to mention he's 6'11", plays more like he's 7'1" with a wingspan of about 9'5". Right. It's just hard to stop him. McGee and Howard, although really good pieces in a traditional format, and with this team, it's just a bad matchup. And everything in every sport is about matchup. I was just watching a YouTube video the other day, and I couldn't believe it. Thanos, Big Bad Thanos, lost to Squirrel Girl out of Marvel Comics. Why they wrote it like that, I don't know. It was just a bad matchup. That's all it was. Can Squirrel Girl just outright beat him? Nah, of course not. It's Thanos. Man, this man wiped out half the universe. But the matchup was bad. For whatever reason, she wound up beating him. At least that's what was explained to me in the video. So I use that as an example to kind of segue in. Everything is a matchup. Coaches have to identify these dinks and dunks and chinks in the armor and hurriedly to correct them. Some coaches don't. We obviously saw that in Milwaukee's case. We definitely saw that in Philadelphia's case. But Frankie V, man, for what it's worth, I know a lot of people rag, they don't need a coach, and LeBron coaches the team himself. LeBron didn't make that adjustment, man. LeBron is a basketball player. Frankie V is a coach. LeBron could direct them on the floor, but he's going to direct what's there. Frankie V's job is to understand mismatches, identify and exploit them, and weaknesses the same. And I think that's what he did after that game one. He realized if he put these big giant dump trucks out on the court, they were going to lose. We got a much more athletic lineup, and I mean, I think the Houston Rockets, from a matchup perspective, would match up better with the Pels than they would, with the Lakers. Until Frankie V made that adjustment. When he made that adjustment and made everything small, it was cool. But you got to fight athletic with athletic. You can't fight athletic with strength. You can't fight athletic with strict. I mean, you got to be athletic. You can't just be strong or just be fast or just be able to jump. You got to be able to do all three of them. You got to fight athleticism with athleticism. You cannot fight athleticism with pure brawn, pure jumping, pure. You got to be athletic. Why? Because you got a 6'3" dude running around there like he running a 4.40 and just running up and down the court like he never runs out of energy. So you got to be able to compensate for that. If you don't, you lose. Ask the dinosaurs how that worked out.
Didn't work out any well for him, to be honest with you, man. to keep it real with you, didn't work out that well at all. But the reality at the end of the day, man, is that you got to take a look at the fact that the Lakers are making the proper adjustments. You're absolutely right. They're gelling and they're playing really well on the court, man. I mean, that's to say the least. I love what they're doing, man, to keep it real with you. But let's move on to the next discussion. We're going to look at the games going on tonight. Toronto is taking on, they have the Celtics here. And, of course, this is a series that me and you talked about. Of course, you made the adjustment saying that the Celtics should be able to sweep this team. The Raptors have done what they've always done, which is, take advantage of people. Taking advantage of people who continually to underestimate what they can do. They're a very talented team. They're well coached, and this is a team without superstars, which is just a team playing like something like the San Antonio Spurs are. They love the coach, they love the culture, and they're playing for an entire country. And they play the game of basketball the right way. And they have been competitive enough to stay within this series with the Celtics, who are leading 3-2. Looking at this is tonight. This is for 5:40 Central Time tonight. Who gets this matchup? Do the Celtics finally close out the Raptors to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat, or do the Raptors hang around one more time and force the series to 7?
Well, in my opinion, I definitely think that the Raptors out of here is over with for them. Boston is definitely going to win a game. They are definitely going to win tonight's game. They're going to win the series. They were always touted to win the series. I don't know how we ever got anything misconstrued. You know who Toronto is? Toronto is, in essence, Rocky Balboa in Rocky 1. You remember Rocky Balboa in Rocky 1? He got his ass whipped, but he put up a really good fight, so he got the rematch. But that won't come until next year. The Toronto Raptors are really the Italian stallion in disguise. That's who's out there for real. And I mean, they can say what they want, do what they want. Won't be no rematches. This ain't Apollo they fighting here, right? So won't be no rematches. Nobody's gonna feel sorry for them. And when we take them out today, the number 1 and number 2, who everybody had crowned and touted to go. You know what? You know what I need you to do for the fam? I need you to go ahead on, especially for Milwaukee. You got to do this, bro. Every time one of these big budget, big city teams get bounced, you got to go back and find that old Bears clip. Or I mean, that old Arizona clip from when the Bears beat them. Remember that one? That Denny Green clip? Was that Denny Green that did that? Went on that rant? Yeah. You got to go find it. Every time they lose, we had them. If you want to go and crown them, just crown them. But we had them. And that's what we got to play every single time. Say, man, did you see Giannis' face last night? Giannis actually thought these people had a chance to win. It was unbelievable. The man had a mask on, sitting there looking all Greek with the bowl boosie fade. It was crazy. I was like, man, what is this man doing? So he got up. They fought back valiantly. I'm not gonna lie about that. But again, I do not give credit to Milwaukee. Their offensive prowess or them playing together as a team. What happens is, man, when you play, listen, if you and I play Madden for 7 games straight, I'm going to know your tendencies. I'm going to see your tendencies and I'll be able to adjust or exploit them. That's what that is. Don't ever think that Toronto just started up and no, that's not what that is. They adjusted. They're real tenacious. Boston won 7 or 8 straight before the loss to Toronto. And I already explained to you and the rest of the family about the laws of averages, right? You won't be perfect. You can't win every time. And understanding that, I'm going to exploit what I can. If I could do 60, 70, 80, those are great numbers for me. So out of 10 games, they won 8. They lost 2. That's 80%. That's a passing grade in every school I ever been in. You see? So I'm not going to crown Toronto or give them any kind of roses or credit or props. I'm going to say Boston either. First of all, stop. Toronto's only won 2 games. The first game they won totally does not count. That was a fluke. Anything could have. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you, I was. In case y'all don't know, family, I'm gonna let y'all meet him one day. I got a son named Poppy. He's 12. He's real scrawny. But about 2 years ago, he was 10. Scrawny, no muscle, no nothing. We play fighting, and he punched me in my face, and it hurt. I fell. I had to catch myself on the bed because I left myself open and I didn't take him seriously. That's the same thing that happened with these clowns when they beat Boston the other night. Boston just wasn't paying attention, and he punched him. Now I ain't gonna lie, Poppy would have punched me a little harder in a different spot. He might have knocked me out. And I would have had nobody to blame but myself for not taking him seriously when we were play fighting. I should have still had my guard up and been paying attention. So that's all they were doing. All they were doing was play fighting. You see? But what happened was Toronto punched Boston a little too hard, and Boston punched back. They didn't like it. Now they're on the verge of getting sent back to Toronto, back across the border. And that's just gonna be the wrap. We're gonna get rid of all the trash, and we're gonna be down to who I say Boston in the finals. And then I don't know. I'm gonna have to make this phone call to the Joker when we get off this YouTube. I had to make a phone call to the Joker, ask him what's going on. What we need to do. We need to spike their Gatorade or whatever we got to do. I will be victorious and right. I picked Boston coming out the East, and I picked the final. I picked the Lakers and Boston is who I picked for the finals. But I did say that Denver would be in the Western Conference Finals. They're not out of it yet. I think they'll be in it. It really depends on what Porter Jr. and what Murray we get today. The Joker is always going to be consistent. We got to make sure Murray and Porter are where they need to be. I seriously doubt they combine like 10 for 31 the other night. I seriously doubt these people combine for that again tonight. And the last game wasn't that bad off. It wasn't like it was the first game where they got just completely obliterated and blown off the floor. So you got to look at all of that, and you got to kind of cradle all that into a nice sandwich and take bite-sized pieces of it. But what y'all ready to do is, people win one game, these garbage cans win one game, and y'all ready to throw a steak in the garbage can. No! The steak got to earn, the garbage can got to earn the steak. Either I got to burn the steak on the grill, drop it on the floor. Somebody didn't want it because they didn't like the way it was cooked. That's how the state gets in the garbage can. I'm not just going to voluntarily give it to them. And that's what I find a lot of people do. They pick Milwaukee and the Lakers, and why? But everybody won't get on me about name brand. So what did name brand Giannis? What did he get y'all in the last 3 seasons? 2 for sure, nothing. And that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I mean,
we gotta stop a war.
But Giannis, it was able to carry the team to heights that they hadn't seen in some time. We know the Milwaukee Bucks won championships with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar back in the G. So they was a team, but they went down for a while. Ray Allen brought them up with him and Big Dog Robinson was up there.
Glenn Robinson.
And then you had then you had the rest of those guys there, and then they went down again. And of course, they came back with Giannis, Coach Bud, and they made some pretty good moves. Prior to that, Jason Kidd was there, and they were competitive once again. So this is not where they thought they were trending at, but they ran into a bad matchup, like you said, how you and your son got at. You left yourself open for a punch. But that's real funny though.
Yeah, that's what it is. And let me just say this: it's not though. Those dudes played their ass off last night, and they did that without Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm not saying they're a better ball club without Giannis, but what I will say is, I think Giannis is becoming too westernized. I think he's becoming too acclimated to the trappings of a multi-million-dollar contract in the free nation. So, you know, Giannis wants out of Milwaukee, bro. I'm gonna just be honest. I'm gonna say what nobody else wants to say. Giannis is going to LA, going to Miami, going to New York, going to Atlanta, going to Houston, going to Dallas, not to play these teams. He's going out in these clubs. He's going out to these strip clubs, and he's had these women. I'm telling you what it is, man. And he like, man, I'm going back to Milwaukee. Man, it's snow. We ain't got a number Green Bay up there. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I think they make beer up there or something. Milwaukee Best, is that a beer or what? I don't know. But that's all they got in Milwaukee, right? He wants out of Milwaukee. You will see Giannis at Golden State, maybe the Clippers, maybe Miami. You will not see him in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform, and that's what that was all about. That's what that was all about. Giannis purposefully sabotaged their team, and I ain't gonna say purposely, but his inability to cope with the trappings of life, and you could see it 4 years ago. He came to the league. He was very, very happy to be here. He was Prince Hakeem coming out as a Munda. The year after that, he started heating up. He found his footing. He started making a name for himself. They go to the playoffs, right? They go to the Eastern Conference Finals, get bounced by Kawhi. I gotta give him a pass on that because, they outplayed him. Now what's the excuse? Every year it seems that Giannis, the star player that these people have put all their eggs in a Giannis basket and drafted around him and tried to build around him, I don't think he wants to be there. This reminds me of AD. It's like I'm having a nightmare all over again. It's the same AD nightmare. He's just not as vocal with it because he's Greek, you see. So he's not as vocal with it. He's not going to be disrespectful. He's just going to do what he does. After this season, when the time comes, you will not see Giannis Antetokounmpo in a Bucks uniform next season. That is the Swami Mazi's prediction.
Yeah, I would get behind you on that one too, man, because I think that's most certainly the case. He doesn't go back to Milwaukee, and you could tell looking at the way he played, man. No doubt about it. He's not interested with being there anymore. Bottom line. Let's move on to the next matchup here. Of the series. This is the primetime matchup tonight at 8 o'clock Central Time. The Clippers and the Nuggets do battle. Of course, the Clippers are leading the series 2-1, and I interpret this as a 7-game series right here between these two teams. The Clippers are going to hit, and the Nuggets are going to punch. Clippers are going to counter punch. It's going to be an interesting series. Jokic, if he keeps playing like this, the series will definitely go 7 games. A lot of people feel like the Clippers will represent the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers, so it'll be an all LA affair in the Western Conference Finals. The Nuggets are trying to spoil that all LA affair, and I'm not mad at the Nuggets, man. Jokic is playing on another level right now. He's fantastic. Beverly saying this, Jokic represents the same threat as Luka Doncic, which was interesting because he's clearly one of the best, if not the best, passing big man in the game. He's improved his 3-point shooting and his shooting period, so he can be a threat to pull bigs away from the basket. So you have to come out to guard him. He's a fantastic player. I love how Coach Malone is utilizing him in matchups against the Clippers, and it'll be a mind to see if Doc Rivers can, be able to counter check or move in a direction to kind of neutralize what Jokic is doing. We'll have to see. I don't think they have the personnel to do that, but this will be an interesting affair. What's the prediction on this one? Does Denver even up the series with the Clippers?
It just depends. I think they could get it done if. Who's coming out for Michael Porter Jr.? Who does he rotate with? Does he rotate with Gary Harris or Jeremy Grant? Who does most of the one-on-one checking with Paul George?
I don't know. They threw several people at him, but Michael Porter is a guy they use too. But Porter's not really a stalwart in terms of defensive.
He's not the defensive prowess that they're looking for.
Right.
But the point I'm making is they're not losing these games by that much. They're not winning them by that much either, with the exception of game 1. But games 2 and 3 was kind of like it could have went either way. One of those type of games. At least midway through the fourth quarter, it was like that. Now, you get the fouls and garbage minutes, and the league kind of extends, but it's not a true reflection on what it was all the way till it wasn't. And Michael Porter Jr., in my opinion, comes out the game entirely too much because of his lack of defense. This is 2020. Nobody's playing defense. I would much rather my defense, when it comes to him, be my offense, because I know that without him in the game, on a regular basis, I'm going to lose 10, 12, 13, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14 points over the course of a game. And when you're at this level and you're winning or losing by margins of 8 points or less, you're going to need that scoring prowess from Michael Porter Jr. that is often left on the bench, swapped out for defense that's still not working to stop Paul George. So if the defense isn't working anyway, I'm going to leave my offensive guy out there. And I'm going to just try to make my best defense be my offense. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. It does to a degree.
So I'm picking Denver if the adjustment is made to let Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. just go crazy. Listen, there are no do-overs, right? We're not playing for a seed. We're playing for it all. You're down 2-1. It's not out of control yet. If the Clippers win tonight, it will be completely out of control, out of their hands, set point. So, I mean, they can't. It's almost as ridiculous as a coach taking 2 timeouts with him into the locker room for halftime, knowing he could have burned him 2 timeouts. I mean, come on, bro. You gotta leave Michael Porter Jr. in there, right? This is not a thing where you're trying to display your defensive prowess and how cold you are on defense. And I'm a defensive-minded coach, and look what we could do. We could hold somebody under. Who cares about all of that? I want the buckets. Give me the buckets. I'm not a defensive guy. I don't care if the score is 170 to 169. Don't matter to me. I don't even care about defense anyway. I don't care about defense or great value players. That's why I get so much flack on the show. It's all good. But we win if we keep Michael Porter Jr. in there. If Michael Porter Jr. plays more than 30 minutes, we win. If he plays less than 30 minutes, we lose. That's where it's at.
Well, I mean, we'll see how it shakes, because the Clippers, and when Paul George and Leonard get together and they average, man, the Clippers just feed off of that. And they knew in order to really take control of this series, they have to win this game to jump ahead, and that puts all the pressure on Denver. And if that happens, I think the Clippers ultimately will end up winning this series. Denver's been in a tough series with Utah. Sooner or later, it's got to wear on you. You can't keep pushing and having these 7-game series. That just takes so much out of you, that they got beat up by Utah the series before, and now you go into another long series with the Clippers. So the Nuggets are series, they kind of even this thing off. The Clippers are series, they go ahead 3-1, and I think that should be enough to finish the Nuggets off. Not saying that they can't come back, but having these long drawn out series in which you were supposed to win deciding games. And like I said, when the Clippers took the series 2-1 with the last win there, that really showed me that they're in control. And if they win this time, I would say that Denver, there's a very slim chance that they finish out the series. George and Leonard are two really. They play really well together. They're two stars that play really well, and the team feeds off of that. And Doc Rivers knows how to build the roster and to make adjustments based on those two impact players. So we'll see how the Nuggets handle it, man. But this is a really important game tonight for them. All right, let's first of all, before we go to our next topic with Billy Donovan, mutually parting ways after 5 seasons with the Thunder, and then getting into our NFL news. I'd like to give a shout out to the family members joining us in the live stream. Big ups to the family members chiming in. Once again, Brother Jared, thank you for joining us. Jason, Brandon, Akai, the great, good to see y'all as well in the chat. John Thompson, good to see you. He says Clippers all the way. I thank you, John. Appreciate you. Please hit the like button, family, if you chat for TSC Unleashed as we move forward. All right, now let's jump back into it. Billy Donovan, who's been the coach of the OKC Thunder over the past 5 years, has mutually parted ways. They didn't fire him. His contract ran out at the end of the year, and it was a spectacular series. Nobody picked the OKC Thunder to be in that position. To be honest with you, I had picked the Thunder to miss the playoffs in lieu of the Pelicans making it. Well, obviously that didn't happen. That team went on to win 44 games this year. The Pelicans, 30 games? And that just goes to show you what a really good coach can get you. And of course, his contract expired and he decided not to renew it. He did a terrific job up there with OKC, man. And originally, remember, he signed that 5-year deal as a head coach from the University of Florida. His deal included a team option that OKC exercised early in the 2018 situation. He was a winner in Florida as well. He was a really good coach there. I wonder if he goes back to college after he takes his break. And he was, Donovan was the National Basketball Coach Association co-coach of the year with Coach Bud in 2019 and 2020. In 5 seasons, he advanced to the Western Conference Final with his first season with KD and Russell Westbrook. Remember, he had them as a squad and then reached the playoffs in each of the next 4 years. This was a college coach now. This is how greatness will get you. And of course, this is what an excellent coach is. This type of dude is who the Pelicans could use, a guy that knows how to coach in the collegiate ranks or in the professional game. He coached KD and Russell Westbrook. Those are 2 massive egos right there, by the way, and took them all the way into the Western Conference Finals as a rookie college coach. How about that? And then, of course, over the next 4 years, Donovan stockpiled a record of 243 and 157. That's good for almost 61% winning percentage as the Thunder's head coach. That kind of coach is who the Pelicans could really use and get behind. Hopefully, Griffin, who's the real general manager, you might as well fire Langdon, should go after this guy big time. This was if he wants to coach or if he's just taking the break or whatever. But that's what a winning coach looked like. That's what a winning coach looked like. Not this old chump that we had down here all these years stinking up the place. This guy, Billy Donovan. So what's your thought process on Billy Donovan as we get ready to jump to pro ball there? 5.
Billy Donovan, is a good coach. I just think he'd be disconnected from the players. Again,
243, 157, 44 wins with an old Chris Paul and mismatched pieces that a lot of people didn't think that he can do it with. He, as a college coach in his first year, took Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook with OKC to the Western Conference Finals. Man, you can't.
And I get that.
I'm not even talking about his resume at Florida with the championships, the several championships, national championships he won as the Florida Gators head coach. This guy's a winner.
I'm not saying, well, he hadn't won anything, but in college. But here's the thing:
he is a winner. Was what I'm saying.
Mighty funny. The crazy thing you said, this is what a winning coach looks like, and I'm confused because the idea of a winning coach I had in my head was 6'3", 200 pounds, black bald head dude, 50 years old. Go by the name of Mike Brown. That's who I was. That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
Mozzie, nobody but you was pushing Michael Brown, bro. Nobody wants Mike Brown except for you, bro. You the only person out of all the people I talk about, coaches of the Pelicans, is the only dude. Okay, I'll put it to you like this. I'm gonna ask the family members out there. Y'all chime in on me. Would y'all like to see Mike Brown as the coach of your New Orleans Pelicans? Chime in, please. And if you don't want Mike Brown, please put in the coach that you would like to see coach the Pelicans. Thank you for that. Please proceed.
This is what I don't understand, though, right? This is what I don't understand. Mike Brown was the coach of the year in 2009. He coached the All-Star team. And he's a 3-time NBA championship coach as an assistant, but still he got him in 3-17 and 18. Come on now, you come on, man. You can't do this, man. Man, the coach of the year.
How much is that? That's what people don't give Mike Brown much credit for what he did in Cleveland with LeBron, because any coach can come around and have a winning season or win with LeBron. How much of that is LeBron versus Mike Brown? That's why he doesn't get any credit, Mozzie. I'm saying that's the thing, though. He could never take them to where they needed to be. They needed Tyronn Lue to come in there and win a championship. So, and a lot of people over the years said Mike Brown's aloof, that he's kind of a doofus. And that's why he hadn't been able to find his way back into the league since then, because people don't think he's as good as a coach as the record indicates. Because a lot of people would put that towards LeBron than they would Mike Brown.
I guess they got a lot of people ain't on Mike Boogie. That's what I call. We go way back. I told Mike Boogie 5 years ago, man, don't even worry about that. MB, MB, Mike Boogie, that's what I called him. I said, man, don't even worry about that, man. Listen, we ain't got to worry about that, man. I'm gonna make the phone call, try to get you down here, work you out, see what you can do. Don't get me wrong, man. I don't believe that Billy Donovan is a bad selection. I don't believe that Mark Jackson or Ty Lue are bad selections. I don't. I think they're better selections because I 100% firmly agree that when you're dealing with millennials, true millennials, that's what this entire New Orleans Pelicans team is made up of, is millennials. They all can ball, but they're millennials. You've got to get a guy that can relate. Ty Lue would be a good fit. Obviously, he's gonna do the 76er thing.
Well, Dark Horse 225, good to see you in the chat, family. Please subscribe if you're unsubscribed. Hit the like button, family. Says hell no to Mike Brown. I'll take Billy D. So I appreciate the sentiments right now. Brother Jerry says he don't know right now. He's still looking over the options. But that's the thing, man. A lot of people, he's not high on nobody's list except for Uncle Mozzie's list. Nobody's like.
Here's the thing, though, right? If memory serves me correctly, going back to Dark Horse 225, hell no to Mike Brown. I'll take Billy D. Dark Horse, I don't know how old you are. I don't know what you're into, but I will ask you a question, and you can put it in the comments. The last time I saw Billy D, I don't know about you.
Billy Donovan.
No, the last time I saw Billy D,
don't try to spin it on the movie.
He was selling out Han Solo and got him putting that gray stuff on the movie. I don't want nothing to do with no Billy D at all.
But then, Billy D, who's known as Orlando Calrissian, turns around after realizing his mistake of selling out Han Solo, then goes with Leia and Luke to go and rescue his friend.
He did number correct something he already created. Well,
that's what you're supposed to do when you make a mistake. You're supposed to fix what you did wrong. He did that, and at the end, he was a core member of the resistance to help them beat the Empire. Throw the rest of that in there. But thank you for that.
I don't give my kids. I don't buy my kids a PlayStation every time they do their homework. That's all I'm gonna say.
That doesn't apply there, Uncle Mossy. That doesn't apply.
It definitely applies. That absolutely applies, because you telling me the man went corrected and fixed it, and man, he made it. That's like my son coming to me and said, "Dad, I did my homework. Can I get a PlayStation?" Man, you supposed to do your homework.
But that's not a mistake. He didn't make a mistake by doing his homework. That example doesn't apply. The man,
he sold the man out, bro. Bottom line is, bro, we got to get Mike Brown, Ty Lue. I guess maybe. I don't know. Yeah, but come on, bro. We gotta stop the foolishness. We gotta stop the insanity, bro. Go ahead, bro. You can segue into the next thing.
All right. Thank you for that. But that Billy D, I seen that coming. That's why I jumped ahead of you.
Yeah, you trying to stop me, man. Don't ever do this. Trying to stop me. Always do that.
All right, let's go into the next. We got some cornerback talk to talk about in the NFL news side of things. Number one, this is big story right here. Rams cornerback Jalen Ramsey agreed to a 5-year, $105 million contract, according to his agent. That is the largest contract ever for a cornerback. This was delivered by ESPN's Adam Schefter. Ramsey becomes the first defensive back in NFL history to sign a deal worth over $100 million. and 71.2 of it is at signing. Is the largest guarantee. So he does a double historic thing, gets $100 million deal. That's historic for his position group. Then he gets the most guaranteed money ever at that same deal. 71.2 of the 100 million at signing is the largest guarantee of a defensive back ever. The Rams announced a 5-year agreement Wednesday without providing the value. The previous largest contract was from Revis Island, $18.2 million. Y'all remember that? He signed a 6-year contract in 2013 after being traded from the Jets to the Buccaneers and was released that following offseason. Now, an All-Pro of 3 Pro Bowl selection, Ramsey becomes a long-term fixture on a defense that includes 2-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year and Super Wildebeest Aaron Donald, who signed a 6-year, $135 million extension before the 2018 season. So they're just super rich and wealthy out there in LA. The Rams he's the 4th player since 2018 whom the Rams have signed to a record-breaking extension. The others are Donald, quarterback Jared Goff, and running back Ty Gurley, who they cut in March, who's a member of the the Falcons now. At the beginning of the training camp, Ramsey, who's just 25, said he was not worried about an extension. He's prepared to enter the final season of his plan on that $13.7 million deal. He says, quote, "I'm trying to do my job as a football player. I'm trying to be a leader on the team. If it comes, it comes. It's going to be a surprise to me." He said, it's like going to be a surprise to you all. And and it was. So this is huge. This is a major deal. And remember, the Rams acquired him last October, sending the 2020 and 2021 first-round picks and the 2021 fourth-round picks to the Jaguars, who selected Ramsey 5th in the 2016 draft, the year the Rams selected Goff number 1. So in 9 games with the Rams last season, Ramsey intercepted a pass and had 4 pass deflections and a forced fumble. He looked good in those games. His arrival in Los Angeles marked a fresh start as a bumpy tenure in Jacksonville, and after week 2 loss at Houston, Jaguars Vice President of Football Operations Tom Coughlin admonished Ramsey for his actions during the game, which included a sideline shouting match with Coach Doug Marrone, who seemed as a goofball. That team was a losing joke-ass team with Jacksonville, and it's a reason why some of these players lose their attention listening to Marrone. You're not doing it. You're not anybody. Why should I listen to you? What have you done to command these winning players to listen to you? That's why Leonard Fournette was disinterested, and so was this guy Ramsey. But he's not disinterested in LA. $100 million contract, 105 with 71.2 guaranteed money. Mazza, what you think about this one? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I accidentally hit mute button. I was in such disbelief. This is what I'm about to do. I'm actually about to get off with you right now. I'm going to run the academy across the river, grab me a helmet and some shoulder pads, and I'm going to try out. They ain't got to pay me that. They give me $300,000 and a lunch of meat on toast. I'm in there. This is, again, one of those grossly negligent things, just paying the player way too much and just way too much up front for no apparent reason. I get all of the hype. Oh, yeah, he did this, he did the other, whatever. But, no, you can't give a player all that money up front. I understand he's proven himself, but he hadn't proven himself in that system, on that team, under that kind of duress, under this type of climate. So I'm not giving him that kind of money at all, period. I'm not.
Well, I mean,
so that's my take on it.
71.2 million of it is guaranteed, man, and it's interesting. That's a massive contract. That's really insane. And Teal's in the building. Teal, the legend. Who that to you? Teal in the building as well. Good to see my family in there. He's saying how will the Ramsey contract affect Lattimore? That's a good question, man, because the deal is that both Ryan Ramczyk and Lattimore will get top 5 position money for wherever they land up. So, man, that definitely makes it a little bit harder on the Saints going into the future, looking at those kind of massive contract deals. Of course, I don't know if Lattimore's going to command $100 million, but good grief, man. That's just so expensive for a cornerback. And we've seen that now. We've seen what happened with Mahomes getting $500 million. We've seen Ramsey with his big chunk of change. And it's just really ridiculous that a cornerback get that kind of money. And don't get me wrong, I think the guy's a good cornerback, but he's not a $100 million cornerback to me. I'm sorry. Ramsey's a good cornerback, but not. I
don't even think there is a $100 million cornerback.
If there was, his name probably was Deion Sanders. I'll tell you much. If there was such a thing as a $100 million cornerback, Deion Sanders would be that guy, but I don't think it's this guy here, to keep it honest with you. Dog Horse said, I think Tre'Davious White got paid also. He did, but I don't think it's nowhere near what this guy got. Now let's keep it in the secondary. As we mentioned our final story, veteran cornerback Aqib Talib announces his retirement from the NFL. A lot of people were saying, what's going on with Talib, whether or not he'll be able to contribute. And the veteran cornerback saying that he turned down his last NFL offer from New England because he wasn't feeling it. Has announced his retirement. Aqib Talib is officially retired, and I'm bringing my talents to the booth. He said in a video posted to Twitter, football gave me so much in life. He turned 34 in February. It's coming off this lost 2019 season in which he had a rib injury that limited him just 5 games, but he was with the Rams. It landed on injury reserve, and he was then traded to the Dolphins late in October. And what is announced is a salary cap dump. The Dolphins got a 5th-round pick for him. He had $4.2 million on his deal, so the veteran never reported for Miami, and he says he's calling to the rest to go to do what so many of them do. I want somebody to have an imagination, man. Do everybody got to start playing, got to go right to the booth? I mean, seriously, man. I mean, could we do something else? But anyway, Aqib Talib, who was a pretty good cornerback for years in the NFL, is announcing his retirement. A lot of people say, Q, won't they go reach for Aqib Talib? Recently, Belichick reached out to him, and that's how people found out that he said that he's retired. A lot of people thought he was still available, and nobody was calling him. Well, you got your information now. A thought process on Aqib Talib, Mazi, as we close out.
First off, bro, I'm going to just be honest. All this time, I thought that was a rapper, not a football player. Is that the right name? Khalid Twali? No, that's Talib Kweli. Yeah. I gotta research that. I thought that was a rapper.
Aqib Talib.
I got my statistician on it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Anyway, 34 years old. It's time for him to go to the booth or the funeral home. One of the two. I don't know. But I mean, I hope they get him. Yeah, you know what? Instead of getting him a gold watch, they need to get him a gold hover round or a gold cane to get up to that boot, man. That's insane, bro. And he was still actively trying to pursue an NFL career as a 34-year-old cornerback.
Well,
was he upset that he didn't get a job? Or,
well, he was still sitting there, and many people thought he was that he was available. That's why Belichick reached out to him to see if he wanted to play, and he didn't announce that previously. Belichick was told by him that he's going to retire, and then he came with the tweet afterwards. So that's just letting people know that we thought he was still out there. There are several players that's in that age group that are still available, or we don't know if they retired, like Tremaine Johnson, another guy out there who made a lot of money with the Rams, is a really good cornerback. He went to the Jets and kind of fumbled out, but he's on the free agency wire too. And they have several other interesting cornerbacks that are still available that might take a payday to come back into the NFL. They're just looking for the right team. They thought that Aqib Talib was one of those people. He is not. And then he came out with the tweet that he's retiring, just to make sure everybody understands. So there you go.
So did he get off on I turned down Belichick? Like, is that what he was trying to do? That what he was shooting for?
I don't know if it was that, but he didn't. Nobody knew what his status was, and I think Bill Belichick was reaching out because he wanted a veteran cornerback. But at the end of the day,
But he's not even a thing though. Like, why do people that think they're are people who aren't a thing think they're a thing? This guy is not a thing. He's not a thing. He's not. I'm looking it up right now, and he was never a thing. Yeah, he was a veteran cornerback. He bounced around, did a tour of duty, but there's a reason for all of that, bro. Because you're not a thing. How dare you turn down the most winningest coach in the NFL history because I'm going to the booth? Hey, wait, who cares? Nobody cares if you go to the booth. What is wrong with these people, man? I don't know, man. I digress. I'm gonna let you take it over right now. That kind of upset.
He got enough money. He obviously said I was blessed with so much from football, letting him know he got enough money. He can sit down. He can sit down. Yeah, that's what he said.
All of that. That's that protection. Oh yeah, I was so blessed. That's like these idiots you see. Hey, let me ask you a question. You ever saw these fools driving these Mercedes and say blessed, too blessed is what the license plate said?
Yeah, I've seen that.
So let me ask you a question. If they was driving around in a Pinto, what would the license plate say then?
It would say the numbers. It would just say whatever the license plate is.
The guy's magnifying glass. Like, whoa, come on, bro. Like, come on, you gotta stop. I was blessed with the NFL. He's like the people with the fish on the back that drive the Mercedes, but as soon as they get a Pinto, they're no longer blessed. You see how that works? So, like this guy, in hearing what you're saying and following the story briefly, because he wasn't nothing to follow with this guy, but he turned down Belichick. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that he had to give you all of these supporting receipts about what he did and how he did. Do you think Deion Sanders have to come out and tell you what he did and how much money he made? No, of course not. And that's what I'm saying, bro. Act like you've been there before. This is another classic case of a player, overpaid, entitled player that just doesn't want to stay in his lane and do his thing. Nobody had to know you turned down a contract from Belichick. What was that for? What was that for? If you're going to the booth, go. I won't even know you're there. You're not going to do nothing but be a sideline reporter with the chick that look like Chewbacca that be out there every Sunday on Fox. What's her name?
Pam.
The black chick, man. Pam Oliver. Look like Chewbacca with the big forehead. Yeah, right. So she going to be right out there with her? I mean, come on, man. Man, I can't do this for you anymore, man. Wrap this show up, man. How about it, man? Wrap it up, man. Play the music.
All right.
Play the music.
All right, bro. Well, that'll do it for the show, fam. I'd like to thank y'all for joining us on TSC Unleashed, today's edition, Wednesday edition. We'll be back tomorrow at our regular time. We had some technical issues, but we'll be back 1 o'clock on TSC Unleashed. So please hit the like button. Please feel free to subscribe if you aren't a subscriber, and feel free to take the link and share it on your social media. So me and Mozzie, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you later. Peace.